Oye!
Hey!
If I said it right.
It's Olya! It's Olya!
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yay! Yay! It's Olya!
Yeah! Hey!
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All
Yeah.
right, man. I butcher names quite often, and everybody here on Inside the
It's
Booth
the arena
knows
curse.
that. It is. All right, so I forgot to introduce you as a lighting. Was a senior
lighting compositing artist. Yeah.
compositing artist. Man,
Yeah.
what a name that is!
There he is.
We like to give out wing hugs to
Oh,
Avery
that's so cute.
all the time.
Yeah.
And then, did I miss anybody? We got Stealthy.
Stealthy! What's
Yeah, there
up,
we go.
Stealthy?
That's all I'm going to say is Stealthy. I'm not going to say that last part there. We got R2. And we got R2
R2.
Yicky. What's up,
There he
R2?
is.
Hey!
What's
Howdy.
up? And then we got Mrs. R2 the Yicky. And I
Nice.
think that might be everybody that I have grabbed so far that said hi. Thing you do again?
Okay, so I'm a senior lighting compositing artist. I've been doing lighting and compositing work for about 7 years. It feels like forever.
7
but,
years. Okay.
It might be I don't know. The numbers rack up.
Mhm.
Been doing it for a while. I'm located in Vancouver, which is a big hub for computer animation. And
sweet.
yeah, it's kind of what I've been wanting to do since I saw Toy Story, kind of, you know.
Oh, really?
And,
that was your inspiration, huh?
Well, actually, when I saw Toy Story, I didn't know much about computer animation at the time, but then I ended up going to, let's say, tour my college, and then when I was touring my college, that they were like, oh, I originally saw a how to do Photoshop and graphic design program, and I remember the recruiter from Full Sail was like, hey, why don't you check out this 3D program? And I was like, 3D? And the only thing I thought about was Toy Story, and I was like, that sounds interesting, sure, let's do it. And then once I walked through it, I fell in love with it. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to do this. And then my parents were checking their bank accounts, oh, what? Because they were expecting a different program, right? That's always different programs. Different studios have different programs. The most common are gonna be Maya and Nuke. That's gonna be your to-go-to programs. But and then there's other studios that use a lot more expensive programs because they can afford it, right? Katana and there's other.
It's like Blender.
Blender is very I think I'm learning Blender kind of on my own.
Cool.
Just because it's a lot more powerful than Blender is it's not industry standard yet, but it is. The program is getting very powerful, and
Excellent.
the reason the studios, I think some studios are starting to look into Blender is because it's free, and then it's going to be cheaper for the companies to use it, right? You're going to pay $6,000 for a program for each artist, or are you going to pay for a program that's free but could do the same thing, right? But I mean,
my boss is Bruce Wayne. Yes.
Well, if your boss is Bruce Wayne, then I think he can get whatever program he wants.
That's it.
Oh, fantasy world.
Oh man, I wish my boss was Bruce Wayne. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
First of all,
to get a job?
if you're looking for a job, apply everywhere. Even if you apply to jobs you don't even think you're gonna get, because there'll be jobs where you apply and you're I'm never gonna get it, and then they come back to you 6 months later and you already have another job, so you're well, I can't say yes now unless you want to, then you just job hop. But I wouldn't recommend it if you're in the middle of a contract.
Have you ever?
I would never. I personally, I've never done that. I've never done that. It's kind of like, don't do that. Don't do that. But
well, if George Lucas came to you, would you?
Well, yeah.
Peace out. George calling.
Well, Matt,
I'm not gonna say no to that
anymore. You know, 'cause, don't forget.
But
Matt,
so
George
basically,
doesn't own Star Wars anymore.
Or
Lucasfilm, or
maybe he comes back. He's like, I'm gonna make a new Star Wars from.
Yeah, new from scratch, right?
That would be awesome.
Back to the drawing boards.
Rumble with Abzi.
Oh,
Pretty funny movie.
Yeah, it was interesting. Go check out, for those of you who wasn't here when I said it earlier, go check out our review, movie review on the Rumble movie. So are full contracts or gig work more prominent in the industry for your type of work?
Well, because I'm an American living in Canada, I do more contract work. So every time, like, let's say a show finishes, that's a contract for me. And I have to find another contract, basically. But I've been doing it for so long, it's just normal to me. Like, it's definitely, at the beginning when you're starting in the industry, it's definitely not a stable job when you're first getting your roots planted, right? But eventually you just start going from contract to contract. But if I was in the US, I could probably get several permanent positions, yeah.
On like video games too with the animation stuff you have?
Oh!
Or is this just strictly animation stuff?
What I've mainly done is movies and animations. Okay. I would like to get into video games, but they use the same programs? It's kind of a big difference between video games and film. Like, I think their pipeline and workflow is a lot different than the animation pipeline. Okay. And so, wait, that's the lighting I want. Okay, but so like I'm not too sure of how exactly the pipeline for video games work, and now I know I think it's more real time. Okay. But it's baked, mapping textures, and that's completely different than what we do in the movies. Okay. Yeah.
I was just curious if you can take the programs you know and go into like that kind of world. Okay.
Well, yeah, but now it's like they use like Unreal and stuff, and I was trained more in different programs, right? Yeah. But I mean, if I learned it on my own, I could probably switched into it, right? Right. But it's just because
And from the first one to the second one, what a huge difference. The first one, I'm like, wow.
You want to see a huge difference? Watch Bug's Life now.
Bug's Life now, okay.
And your eyes will be like, wow, that looks like crap, and you don't even have to be an artist. Like, I'm not saying it was awful looking, but you can tell the difference between what we see now and what Bug's Life was. When I saw Bug's Life, it was groundbreaking, right? Yeah. You're like, oh my gosh, look at all this for the first time. Yeah. And like everyone's just in awe of the CG of it, right? But then you compare it to like let's say Spider-Verse, or maybe not Spider-Verse. It's a crazy good movie that just recently came out that's animated. Like Rumble.
There you go, Rumble.
We're just gonna say Rumble.
Yeah, promote it.
But like you see the fur of that, the monster, the crazy mob monster lady, that comes out, and you see the fur on her. You couldn't do that in Bug's Life,
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have the technology to make it look that great.
You said monster. I all of a sudden thought of Monsters Inc. The fur.
I see that. Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
That was good. They did a good job with fur in Monsters Inc. Yeah.
I don't know. Hi, Mom.
Oh, hi.
Are you a fan of Full Metal Alchemist? That was I like that.
That was a good series. I have
a
story about Full Metal Alchemist if you want to hear it.
Sure.
So I would watch Full Metal Alchemist with my mom, and we ended up watching like the original series, and then I went to college, and then like I came back, and then the new series started.
The Brotherhood.
And, which we didn't know anything about, but we watched one episode, and it was pretty much, remember the series that you wasted your time in life watching? We're just gonna throw that out the window. And I remember my mom just being like really insulted about it. And I'm like, Mom, why do you care? And she's like, well, why did we watch it when we're just gonna watch it again? And she just got so annoyed. It was so funny, like seeing her frustrations. Because I'm like I wouldn't think she would have cared so much, but she's like, no, I invested my time watching that. Why do I have to watch it again? But I know there's the whole difference between the manga and the animation. Or the first series was done when the manga wasn't finished. Yep. And they kind of made up their own ending. And the second one is like,
I didn't know that until like years later. I was like, what?
Yeah. And then the second one was like, this is how the series is supposed to go. which it's like, man, if you're watching that, I could see the frustration.
You know,
give an example
like
of a 2D.
I was a big fan of, let's say, Iron Giant when I was a kid.
Okay.
Oh, okay, right.
Like to me, that's like a hardcore classic, like animated movie that I have to mention all the time.
The Goofy movie was fun.
Oh, the Goofy movie!
Yeah, that one was always a fun one.
That was a good movie.
Yeah.
I watched that with my parents.
Did you?
Yeah, in theaters.
Nice. Let's see, what else is another good 2D animation? The Fox and the Hound. I always liked that one. That one was one of my favorites.
Too.
You know, that was one of my favorites.
I remember watching that with my sister when we were kids. I always got scared at the bear part.
Was it Jake and the Giant Peach? Was it Jake or
James and the Giant Peach?
James.
That was. I think that was stop motion. Right?
I haven't seen that in a while.
Was stop motion.
That was good. I watched that one a lot too. That was a good film. I really liked how they did the characters in that movie.
So, one of the last questions I guess I'll have is any tips or advice to people who are interested in getting into computer animation, lighting, compositing?
Don't get discouraged. Like, just like, if you really want to do it, don't say I can't. Like, I mean, you're gonna have those days where you're like, you don't get the call from the interview you wanted, or you did an art test and they never responded. You're gonna go through stuff like that, but don't let that bother you so much. Like, just keep going. Like, you'll end up getting into it eventually.
Merchandising, where all the real money of this podcast is made. So if you go to our website, www.insidethebooth.tv.com/shop, you get yourself beautiful mugs, t-shirts. I got these things that I usually wear. It's called a neck gaiter, but I wear it like a do-rag because it's better that way.